Tom Hiddleston returns as the fan-favorite God of Mischief in his own TV show on Disney+, and I was lucky enough to have checked out the first 2 episodes, so without any spoilers, let's talk about Loki. After stealing the Tesseract during the events of Avengers Endgame, Loki is brought into the mysterious Time Variance Authority, a bureaucratic organization that exists outside of time and space and monitors the timeline. And in this, Loki has a choice. Either he risks being erased from existence due to him being a time variant, or join forces with the TVA to stop an even bigger threat. But before I give you my thoughts, let me know how excited you are for Loki. Is it your most anticipated Disney Plus show, your least anticipated? Throw it down in the comments below, start the conversation. It's the most important part. And while you're down there, consider clicking the subscribe button if you haven't yet. It does wonders to get my content out there, and you'll join the beautiful community that we have here on the channel. I myself was extremely excited for this show. Since they showed that first trailer at the Disney Investors Day in 2020, I was over the moon expecting this show in anticipation, and it didn't disappoint me whatsoever as far as the first 2 episodes are concerned. What this show basically sold me on is that it feels like a mix between 007 and Doctor Who mashed together, Loki being that 007 Doctor Who agent, and it is exactly that. In terms of visuals and the wackiness and the promise that a premise like this has, these first 2 episodes fulfill that in spades. This is something totally different than anything we've seen in the MCU. It feels different, it flows different, everything feels brand new and fresh and intriguing, and the show really capitalizes on it. Not only, again, in terms of its visuals, in terms of its very clever writing, but giving the focus to character. Tom Hiddleston has never failed at delivering great performances as Loki, and this one might just be his best because he is front and center, so a lot of the show is weighing on his shoulders to carry it. So the show smartly uses a fan-favorite character that understands nothing of what is going on, and that helps us get into the story as well. But what really surprised me about these first 2 episodes is how much of it feels like a character piece. It almost feels like an examination of Loki as a person. We really dive into his psyche in this in extremely compelling and emotional ways. The show has a lot of fun with its inventive and creative premise. It has a lot of fun presenting these new characters. The character dynamics at play are really interesting, but it wisely has time to stop and look at Loki and have Loki examined not only by those around him, but by himself. We begin to understand his fears, his insecurities, and that delivers an amazing pathos for Loki and gives him kind of a new sense of purpose by the way this show puts him at the center and the way it utilizes him in that regard. It gives kind of a sense of purpose, a brand new sense of purpose to Loki, and kind of justifies this entire show's existence. And it also shows us what Loki can be. He can be mischievous, of course. He can be a really good liar, but he can be fun as well, which is a component of Loki that feels essential and integral to this character, especially on this show. I really love seeing Mobius as well. Owen Wilson is really great so far on this show, and the relationship that he strikes with Loki is extremely intriguing, as is the entire story. Can't dive into specifics, but the way this show starts and when it ends in episode 1, everything has changed. Our understanding has changed, the way we seem to go in a certain direction has changed, and by the end of the 2nd episode, that changes again, and it keeps being changed. The status quo keeps changing throughout these 2 episodes. What our characters and what us, the audience, understand keeps shifting. It keeps things intriguing, it keeps engaging us, the audience, and it keeps justifying what the characters want very clearly. These first 2 episodes are very much dedicated to setting up this adventure while giving us great character moments and development as well. And it really sets up this world, feels like the wrong word, but let's go with that. This new world, these new worlds feel so fascinating to step into through the eyes of the TVA and of Loki. There is a lot of setting up in the first episode specifically, so I can get that some people may not enjoy it, but to me it was fascinating to watch as we're adding this new dimension into the already grandiose scope of the MCU and what that may entail into the future. For any comic book fan or any comic book movie fan, this is a delight to watch and see how zany and crazy they're going into this show. It's full throttle, no backing down. This show gets weird and it gets mystical and magical, and it's wonderful in every regard. And from beginning to end, it is filled with hints and Easter eggs that I cannot wait for us to dissect in our spoiler reviews once the show comes out. So as far as Falcon and Winter Soldier was lacking in terms of theories, this show is bound to bring them right back. And even though the show feels like it's only just setting up and we have also these character moments and character interactions, by the time you finish the second episode, it feels like this show is moving fast, but in a really good way. They really utilize their pace and the time they have for each episode, almost 1 hour, both episodes, by the way, which is fantastic. It gives you just enough and it leaves you wanting more, just enough, in a perfect balance. The first 2 episodes of Loki do 2 very important things to make it work. They establish what is going on in this adventure and its rules, and they establish why our characters need to be in this. It's filled with intrigue, it's full of charm, it's funny, it's fantastical, and it leaves room for emotional, compelling character moments to drive the story forward. As far as a starting point is concerned, Loki has a glorious one, perhaps the best out of the Disney Plus shows thus far. I could not be happier with how we're starting this show. So those are my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Loki, spoiler free. On Wednesday, of course, when the first episode comes out, we will have a spoiler review diving deep into the first episode and so on and so forth every week. But what did you think? Did you get more excited with this review? Less excited? Let me know all of that in the comments below and let me know what you most want to see in Loki. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. If you've watched this far but still haven't subscribed, consider clicking the button. You can always unsubscribe in the future if you ever get tired of my face or my voice. Thank you so much once more. You are the best. Stay tuned for many more reviews to come this week. I have my review of In the Heights coming later today, and I hope to see you there. So until then, love each other and love the movies.